Greetings! Hi Ian and Lee. Let me know if you can hear me and see the video as well. Hi Josephina and Jumin. Welcome. Hello Heather. Hi. Yeah, it's nice to see you all again. So today I felt like using gouache a bit, and my regular videos were not really panning out, so I figured I could do a special live stream. It's also worth noting that I am really not that experienced with gouache, so yeah, we're gonna learn together at the same time. Okay, so I'm just gonna try to set this up so that you can see. That's not ideal. So I have what I am going to paint. That's what I'm about to show you. I would really like this washi tape to be useful for painting, because as you can see it doesn't stick at all on anything. It's really lousy. So I have an avocado and a banana. I'm gonna remove the sticker on the banana. So yeah, so this is what I'm gonna sketch and try to paint with gouache. I just put them on my desk and it's really not fancy. What's with all the stickers on food? Seriously. Come on. I just got my nails, so it's pretty hard to tear away at stickers without nails. Alright, so that's done. Yay, so hi everyone. Hi Afke, Jennifer. Yeah, I have to do a bit of setup on my palette because I recently got a few new gouaches that I want to have in there. Oh, it's hard to see. Okay. This is okay. This is okay. So this is my gouache palette at the moment. I tried to keep them in kind of a semi-liquid state. I haven't used them in a while and they're still pretty wet and they don't seem to have molded. So there's that. And oops, sorry, I'm gonna be using a bit of distilled water to add into some of the trays that I can see have dried up a bit. So yeah, that's another thing I'm gonna keep handy. And ouch. Okay, so new colors. I tossed my little container of gouache on the ground the other day, so they're all at the bottom, of course. The gouaches I like to use, there are some Winsor & Newton. There is some M.Graham and a few Holbein tubes in there as well. Okay, so I have 3 new colors and 2 spaces left, so I'm gonna have to choose which one I want to keep. Hello Dan! Okay, so this tray I got from Aliexpress. It's pretty inexpensive. What is great about it is that the cover is partitioned like the tray. I wouldn't try like tossing this container around because I'm pretty sure it would leak. But I really like this idea of having deep wells and that there's a basic contingency that they will not mix together. So I got Windsor Violet, which is dioxazine violet, which is definitely gonna go in this palette because it's one of my favorite colors. So I just put a blob there. And I'm gonna thin it a bit with the water. I use distilled water because that's what I use for when I make paints. So I always have a bottle handy, but I'm pretty sure that tap water would work as well. And I have this box of toothpicks. And I'm just gonna use a toothpick to steer the gouache into the water. I have kind of a soupy mix. It's really handy to have toothpicks around because some gouaches, they stay nicely mixed, but some will need a bit of mixing. And then I have to choose if I want to have Naples yellow or burnt umber. I can think about that later, seriously. I don't think I'm gonna need these colors to paint my banana. And can you guys see this tape? Like how offensive it is and its disdain for sticking around. Oh, seriously. I'm gonna have to use leftover tape from actual painter's tape to try and stick this down. Alright. Okay, so first step, I'm gonna sketch my scene, my banana and the avocado. I'm just gonna put this back on because knowing me, I could quickly turn this into a disaster. So yeah. Doop-de-doo. Oh, hold on. Okay, she's gone. There's one kitten who doesn't want to go take the afternoon nap. Question, does the Holbein acrylic gouache re-wet? Kind of confusing because acrylics normally don't. No, they don't re-wet. I will make a video on this because it's it seems to be confused. Can you guys hear the kitten? Alright. Yeah. Acrylic gouache is acrylic paints. It's called gouache because it's matte, like regular gouache. So it has the finish of regular gouache, but it is acrylic paint. So you cannot re-wet acrylic gouache. Once it's dry forever. So yeah, that's the big story on acrylic gouache. It's acrylic paints. It's really fun because you can layer it and it won't pick up. You cannot pick up. You cannot lift it. Once it's there, it's there. But yeah. So I am never trying to do anything photographic. I just want to have like a basic real life reference of how the lighting works and how the shapes are together, but I am not looking for perfection, so please excuse this little doodle if perfection is what you were looking for, you're not gonna find it over here. Nope. So yeah, that's a really big avocado. So I could easily draw it a bit smaller. I'm kind of interpreting as well because I don't think my view of the scene is proportional to the space in my sketchbook. I just want to do some practice mostly on how to use the gouache, so this is just basically setting the stuff, and I'm gonna keep it super simple and just try to have fun with the paint. So there, basic placement, and that's it. The brushes I'm gonna use are Cotman brushes. I really prefer these for gouache because they're a bit stiffer. And I have, I usually just use a flat and a round. So I have, I'm guessing this is a round, this is an older one, but it's a size 4. Hold on, I'm gonna open my palette in a few minutes. So yeah, it's a pointed round, size 4. And this one is a 1 stroke in 10 millimeters. They're just, you know, inexpensive brushes I got from Jackson's. So, what? You're not perfect? I'm totally unsubscribing. Thanks, Heather. Right, so this is my palette. For me, the fun with gouache is to try and really play with the colors. So I usually do gouaches painting, and I don't know why, but I have a lot easier time, oops, not that way, an easier time not sticking to realistic colors with gouache. So this one is gouache, but it's white basically. So yeah, so that's possibly what's gonna happen here as well. All right. Oh yeah, I should really find a mixing space, right? So I got this. This is one tier of a stackable small porcelain dish mixing set, so that I can mix some of the colors on there. So first thing I like to do is set down a base layer on everything, just so I get like a starting point. Even if it doesn't really make sense at first, it's gonna make sense later. And it's gonna make sure that everything has a unified color base. Like I said, this is just my thought process. I am really not experienced in this, which is why I am trying to do more so I can figure it out by making a ton of mistakes. This color, I'm not sure what it is. Some of these gouaches are like from pans that I poured ages ago and that I finally transferred into this this container palette thingy, just so I could use them. Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Maria. That is really awesome. Thank you. I really appreciate that. No, I'm sorry. I was just I was just really focused on my base layer. All right. So yeah, this this like area under the stuff is basically what you see here, my vellum covered workspace, and this is like technically wood, and this little part here would be the wood of the table as well, but I'm just gonna try and use fun colors and make this a bit more interesting. I'm really itching to try my dioxazine violet, so I'm gonna mix a bit of it in here and try to have a bit of fun with the vellum, which is technically more white. This time I'm gonna try to pay attention to the shapes of my fruits, because I don't want this to be a really big mess of everything, but yeah, I still want to have that base color. I'm really glad you loved the lessons, Maria. That's a really great thing to hear. And yeah. So how is everyone's weather today? Mine here is really unusually warm. It's been melting, which is usually not the kind of weather we get in February. So there's a piece of paper here that drops a shadow on my scene, so I'm trying to see if putting in the shadow is going to be interesting. If something I put in doesn't pan out like I want, I can probably just cover it in gouache and fix it that way. Hello, Marisa. Hey, Denise. Hi. Yes, I am from Quebec. Oops. I think that having paper towels handy is always a good idea. And I'm really glad I protected this page with a piece of spare paper. Okay. This is not the color I was expecting. I love Jackson's a little bit too much since I discovered the delivery fees of I missed it, but yeah, the delivery fees at Jackson's are really good. Yes, I speak French. That is not an ice cube tray because the bottom is hard plastic. It's just one of those I don't know, it's a tray with partition that you can easily find on websites like Aliexpress or Amazon, I guess. I'm always a bit sad that the kind of spring we have around here never really lasts very long. It's always a bit of a bummer that all of a sudden it's all warm and summery, and I'm not super good with the sun and the warmth. I could do with more fall and spring weather for sure. So as with watercolor, I always try to stick with a limited palette. It is usually a better idea, as these colors, they don't necessarily work fine. I'm doing the thing that I really shouldn't do, which is overwork wet gouache. You really need to let it dry before trying to do anything with it. Sorry for the noise, but I'm stirring up some of the mixes because all the pigment is at the bottom and all the water is at the top, which is not the best. Not super convenient. Hi, Pat. That needs to dry a bit. Hold on. All right, it's back. Hello, Cyan. Hello, Hayekujen. I am using the Winsor Newton, M.Graham, and a few Holbein. I'm sorry, but I have the most amazing gouache in the freaking world, and no contest, you cannot argue this away from me. It was gifted to me from a friend, and it's some very old Winsor Newton stock, but look at this color! It's neon red! It's just... and it smells like cinnamon candies. This is the best color ever. I really love this color. It's so bright, it's so neon, it's so in your face. I should put some of this somewhere in there. Yep. I really like using neon colors, like I have opera and this super awesome red, because I find that they give a nice glow to colors, and I know it's gonna fade and all of that, but if you plan on having prints of the piece or reproductions, or if you don't really want to sell the original, this is a really nice way to bring something a bit more punchy to the picture. Could you say something in French? I could. I don't know what. I speak French Canadian, so it's not super fancy. It's not as nice as the French. Ours is a bit more chewed up, and we borrow heavily from English. I'm gonna swatch the opera pink right next to this neon red. Oh, look at this. This is so cool. I mean, you can't really use that color in itself, but if you mix it into something else, then we're speaking. Then you get something worth like just this pop of over the top brightness. I kind of really like it. There are many colors in the Shinhan Pass set that have a bit of like one of these neon pigments in them, and they really have this really fun glow. Come on, assume ton joual, parle franglais. Yeah. Are the very bright colors almost neon still light fast? Probably not. I know for sure that opera is not light fast, and if you look at the composition of gouaches, if there is something like a BV color in it or an AB color in it, it's not going to be light fast. That doesn't mean that it's going to disappear. Some colors are not light fast, and that means that they will get darker, or they will change hue, so you never really know what to expect. But basically, when something is not light fast, it means that it's gonna change when you have it exposed to light for a while. Oops. Question: Eve, Denise, and all other nerds, have you tried My Merry Gouache? I'm trying out a few tubs, but I don't know how to evaluate them. I don't have access to My Merry Gouache, so I can't really say. I took out a new dish to mix other colors because my main dish is kind of small and full already. So I want some more of that weird green color, just so I can try and perhaps differentiate a bit the backdrop from the banana. I don't know why I find it much easier to be more free with the colors with gouache. Like, I really struggle doing that kind of stuff with watercolors, but with gouache it's the only way I love to use them. So, mystery. Yep. There's a bit more green in my avocado that I've managed to put. And the banana is an odd mix of greenish yellow and brown spots. So I'm probably gonna do the brown spots, possibly apart by some by hand and some through splattering colors. Hi, Michael Ann. French on Korea? I have no idea what that is. So who else is using gouache? Because I've seen a lot of gouache lately on YouTube. Like, there's been Steve from not in liquid color, that's Denise, from The Mind of Watercolor. It's pretty hard to paint and think about at the same time. Sorry. But yeah, he mentioned gouache lately, and then I saw Lindsay, brain fart, also using it lately. And yeah, and then there is Kat from Meow Meow Kapow and Denise and everyone. So like, I don't think anyone sent out a word to the others about, hey, use this stuff. But I still kind of find it funny that all of a sudden everyone is all about gouache, which is perfectly fine with me. A question: have you tried making your own gouache using champagne chalk or zinc white and watercolors? I have China clay, which is a filler for gouache that I bought at the place where I get my pigments. And I tried to make a white gouache because that's what I wanted to do, but I wasn't super happy with it. And then I don't really have the tubes or a good way to store gouache so that it stays wet. Dry gouache tends to be crackly and make a mess of things, so I am not super tempted to try it that way. I have, I might use it actually, but I have a couple of gouaches, white gouaches. So the one white gouache I usually go to is by M.Graham, and it's in part because I have a huge tube of it, I think you've all seen the monster tube of white gouache. So yeah, this one is 60 milliliters and this one is 15. So 4 tubes. I find that for gouache, white gouache is like the most useful color, oddly enough. Gouache en masse, yep. I'm gonna bring a bit of white in. I'm not super happy with the way this part looks like. It's kind of a mess. It's a bit too muddy, so maybe with a bit of white I can use the opacity of the white to help clear that up once it's a bit drier. I'm still not getting the green I want in my avocado, but I'm not quite sure which other color to bring in, so I can have that green and not make everything too colorful. Is gouache anything like acrylic? Yes and no. Regular acrylic has a kind of a shiny finish. It dries plastic. Regular gouache has a matte finish and it dries not chalky, but it dries in a way that if you have an accident and spill water over your gouache painting, you cannot save it. If you spill water over an acrylic painting, nothing's gonna happen if it's dry. Now there's a bit of a mixing of sorts when you come to stuff like acrylic gouache, which is basically just matte acrylic, like we said. It's not gouache outside of the way it looks once it's dry. But yeah, it's really not the same thing. I find that gouache is a lot harder because if you want to cover an area, even if it's dry, chances are you're gonna reactivate the pigment underneath, and then it's gonna be super messy. So I find it really harder to work than say acrylic. Acrylic, when it's dry, you can cover it up and the color underneath it's not gonna move. It should stay right where it is. Yeah, gouache is more like watercolor. It's like opaque watercolors. And opaque, I mean, you know, like how chromium oxide green in watercolor is opaque? That kind of opacity. Like it's never going to be opaque. You put a coat over something and the thing that was under it disappears forever. It's opaque in that it's not transparent like watercolor is. Oh my god, Spooky! iReveal just posted about her first time using gouache. What's happening? Yeah, like I was saying, gouache is trending. Is the word designer code for not light fast when describing gouache? I think it's the word for we don't care if it's light fast when describing gouache, because usually designers would paint stuff and then scan it and then put the originals in the bin or in a box somewhere and forget about them. So it really was just for the sake of painting the thing and reproducing it, and then it was move on to something else and we forget about this stuff that we did. So yeah, it's a bit different. Hi Val. Michael Ann, if you like acrylics but don't like the plastic look of acrylics, you could try a bit of acrylic gouache. And Turner acrylic gouache is the most affordable of them. Is there any difference between Holbein acrylic gouache and Turner acrylic gouache, other than Holbein being 5 times the price? Holbein is a bit better quality. I think it has more coverage than you would have in Turner. I have both. I usually prefer the Holbein stuff, but I think the Turner stuff is very decent. And if you want to buy like just a few colors to try it out, I don't know what I would recommend. I really like Holbein. I mean, if you can get like a few colors in Holbein acrylic gouache and just try it, like you get your favorite colors and you paint the stuff you want to paint, really just to have fun, to see if you really like using this stuff, I think that's worth it. But yeah, it's really a matter of personal taste. It's kind of easy to overwork stuff with gouache, as you can see. I think I'm going a bit strong with this. Turner gouache, it's really cheap, and I mean I have a few and they're okay. Don't get the Japanesque though. Not that it's bad, but it's not smooth. It has like a gritty texture. And if you're looking for something that has the texture of acrylic, so something that is smooth, the Japanesque range is not gonna do. So you can get like a few colors of Turner and try it out if you want. Since it's a bit more, like a tad more transparent, perhaps it's a good middle ground with watercolors. So that could be something that works for you. Is the Holbein gummy like the watercolor? The acrylic gouache? The texture of the acrylic gouache when it's wet, it's pretty much like soft body acrylics. When it's dry, it's plastic, so it's matte plastic. Oh, if Cyan is still here, I'm gonna try using the super bright green color. So that one's for you. I love this color. It's leaf green. Yep, that works. So I really like using this flat brush because of the shape, the kind of shapes you can get from the colors with these strokes. Like well, it's kind of fun to use in watercolor as well. I hope the Holbein gouache is better than the watercolor. Oh, quiet you! I will not have any ill talk of Holbein watercolor in here because I really like them. So, there. Hi Bruno! Comment ça va? I love me my Holbein watercolor and gouache. So, tata. Can good quality gouache be stored like watercolors in a travel tin, or will it crack and be sad? It will crack and be sad. I think Holbein gouache is a bit better Like if you look at Meow Meow Kapow's video, she has her Holbein gouache set up in a tin with half pans, and it seems to be doing fine, but I would still expect it to crack especially if you forget about it for a while and it really dries up. That's why I am trying this method, which is not something I made up. I mean, I found an artist with a method that I really like, and that's the kind of palettes he uses, and I followed his advice. Wow, Denise. No, don't temper with your gouache. I'm sorry, I'm gonna get annoyed here as well. If you temper with your gouache, you basically change what makes it gouache. What makes this gouache is that it's more opaque and it will crack when it dries. So if you add honey or glycerin or gum arabic in it, you're basically bringing it more to watercolors, and it's not gonna work like a gouache anymore. So you're better off just keeping the tubes nearby and pouring just a little bit as you need it, if you really don't want to have to work with the dry stuff. Or you can try this kind of palette where you keep your paints more soupy and they never really dry, or you know, if they dry, the cover keeps them separated and I can just let them soak and then use them wet. I get really peeved when people add all kinds of things into gouache, because well, at that point just get watercolor. I mean, it's gonna serve you better and you're gonna appreciate it more. And one thing you can do is have a palette of watercolor and white gouache, and you keep the white gouache in the tube. You store it in the tube, and when you need it you press some fresh white. But if you take the time to re-wet the watercolors well and they get, you know, soft, you can mix in the white with the watercolors and they will do kind of a gouache, and you can have a palette of watercolors, so colors that don't crack, with the exception of French ultramarine or ultramarine, but anyway, colors that don't crack technically, and white gouache, and you can work these two things together to have a finish that's really closer to gouache than watercolors. Well, my advice is no glycerin, no honey, no gum arabic, nothing added into gouache except water. That's all you need if you want to work it truly like gouache. Because everything you add into it, either it's gonna make it shiny, it's gonna make it more like watercolors, it's gonna affect the opacity. So that's just my 2 cents. I mean, if you ask me how I like to work my stuff, this is how I do. But some other people might have found another way and that works for them, and if you check their videos and their info and it's something that appeals to you, you can go ahead, try it. But as far as I know, I don't really like adding stuff into my watercolors to begin with, and with gouache it's just a big nope. I mean, I want to get to know how the stuff works without tweaking it before I decide to tweak it. You know, it's a bit like before drawing cartoony, you have to learn regular anatomy and that kind of stuff. So that's my logic for other things as well. Do you use watercolor brushes for gouache? I use, yeah, these are the Cotman brushes. I think they're good for watercolor and gouache, and they're synthetic, so I think you could use them with acrylics as well if you know, clean up. Have you used water mixable oils? I have some tubes and I've been wanting to play with them more. I haven't, mostly because I really have no space to work, or even if those are water mixable, like they would be mixed media piece with cat hair within 5 minutes. If I have a bigger studio space someday, I really want to try like oil with super limited palette. Something like the Zorn palette, but yeah. That's an interesting accent you have there. That's one way of putting it. I am French Canadian. Basically at this point, I am not sure of what I can add to this without messing it up too much. This part I still don't like, so I'm gonna just remove this part of my reference and try to fix it with more white gouache. And this this beige color. I don't personally know of Jack Kerouac. I've heard the name, but I didn't study in literature really, so and you're gonna tell me he's an artist or something, and then I'm gonna look dumb, but yeah. I don't remember, I mean, I know of the name, but I don't remember ever studying it in the context of something. There is something I noticed, and it's gonna be part of this coming video I want to do about gouache and acrylic gouache and watercolor and acrylics. But if you have acrylic gouache, it's not recommended to dilute it with water because its binder is an acrylic polymer. So if you mix it with water, you're gonna weaken the bond between the pigment, the paint, and the paper. But you can use airbrush medium, which is really liquid, which is a bit like water. It's really it's not a very thick medium, so if you want to have like washes of acrylic gouache, you can achieve some really nice results using the airbrush medium. Yeah, so I studied graphic design and animation. So the focus on writers was very very light. Let's put it that way. Okay, so I'm gonna try to hide this not pretty piece of part of the study of the banana and the avocado. I can show my bin of gouache tubes after, if you guys are curious about the colors in this palette. I don't really have it labeled on the tin, since really I don't have that many gouache tubes if you compared it to my watercolor collection. That's another story, but yeah, if you're curious about the colors I got in there, I can check the bin after. What are we painting next? Is that a way of saying that this one is done? Trying to add in the small details like the shadow of the avocado on the banana, and trying to fix a couple of things that bother me. Like, gouache is awesome for fixing stuff. Like, no, that's not at the wrong, that's at the wrong spot. This shadow is not fine. It's not properly placed, and you can just grab some thick mix of white and something else opaque and cover it up, and there you go, the mistake is gone. You can't leave when you finish what? Oh, Heather doesn't want the stream to end. I don't know if many people would share that opinion, and you don't have to answer that. Just gonna see about adding a couple of details that are probably gonna mess everything up. But yeah, this banana has spots on it, so Oh yeah, Angel Affair probably goes live soon. I think she goes on at perhaps 3? Is that it? Okay, let's mess everything up by trying to splatter. I could, you know, splatter intelligently and try to cover up some of the spots. I would rather not have any brown dots. Yeah, close enough. Maybe this way. Alright. I'm gonna channel my inner Lindsay. I keep saying her name wrong, I think. Right? Haha! Haha, this is fun. Take that! Hahaha! The boyfriend commented on the fact that the floor is splattered with paint the other day, and I was like, yep, better get used to it. That's how it's gonna be. Alright. I think there's a few things that could be fixed still. Like the very dark shadow doesn't go that far, so I could just bring in this color of the less dark shadow and try to fix it. See? You can fix it. It's it's so much fun for that. You can just fix stuff. And you don't have to like cry because it's messed up. Which is probably why with watercolor I tend to stick to more to my references more, maybe because I know that if I mess up I can fix it, whereas for this I know that if I mess up, well, I can probably fix it. It's not exactly the same mindset. Alright, so I think this is as good as this study is gonna get. Oops, I think I missed part of the chat. Cats are the worst. All right. All right. Lindsay. Ugh. It's weird, right? I mean, I know what her name is, but I don't know how to say it, and that happens a lot with when my brain, sometimes when I record the audio for videos, my brain gets stuck on a word and I have to like repeat it many times, many ways, just to find what the word is supposed to sound like. Ombre floor because of spray painting? Yup. I'm glad I don't work with acrylics a lot, so that it's kind of easy to wash. Look at this stupid washi tape. I mean, it's going away on its own. Like, ha ha ha, I am so gone. I'm a bit bummed because the pattern is, you know, I bought it because I thought the pattern was nice, but nothing, like I've seen parchment paper that stick more than this washi tape. It's mocking me. Well, this one is not gonna ruin the paper, right? There, this there's something I could have done. I can still do it. But the avocado is where was the white? Oh, in there. The avocado has a bit of a shiny skin. So I could have used a bit of white to because it kind of looks dull and flat that way, so maybe if I add a bit of a highlight with this here, it's gonna look better. I don't want it to be like one stroke, I want to have some of the texture, so I'm sort of just dabbing in a bit of white. And I could probably have a bit of the reflected color of the surface underneath here. Of course, all of that is going to dry a bit lighter than it looks right now. There. Schrodinger's washi tape, not sticky enough but still rips the paper. I have painter's tape like that. Like the blue painter's tape is I kind of have to stick it to my hand or to something before I put it on the paper, especially hot press, because it's going to rip off hot press paper. I will have to check it out, Heather. I don't think... someone might have to link me the Angela's workshop page. Oh! Val is saying, guess what just came in the mail? Bernadette shirts and mugs. That is so cool! For all of you who might not know, Bernadette is Val's mascot. Since Val is a pyrographer and she works with wood burning, and she has a live stream as well, and we often have a lot of fun in her live stream, and that brought about the birth of Bernadette the mascot, which is really something to behold. And it was so funny and so great that Val made some shirts and mugs, and I'm really excited to see them. So, okay, Angela is going to be on soon, so I shouldn't really stream at the same time. That's not a very nice thing to do. As far as this practice piece, well, say what you will, but it's done, and I learned a lot, especially in regard to this area here, who was really not working out, and I think it works a lot better having just the shape of the banana here, and yeah, and how to work, like how there was two shadows. I could probably fix it a bit here because it's a bit too dark, but that's kind of good enough for what this is. This is the blue tape I usually use. It's painter's tape. I have some drafting tape that I haven't used for painting yet, and I also have this green Sure tape, which is the least tacky of them all. And now I also have this idiot washi tape that won't even stick. So yeah. I could show my tubes, my tubes of gouache, I mean, and yeah, and then we can all move on to Angela's stream. I think that could be fun. It would be like two different styles of painting in one day. Like gouache over here and her beautiful loose watercolors after. So I don't know, do you guys want to see the colors in this box or not really? Because I mean, it's not super relevant to anything. There's a less sticky painter's tape in yellow. I'll have to check that out. Though I have cheap, not sticky washi tape for like 3 lifetimes. So might not need to purchase any new painter's tape soon. Okay, so I'm gonna show the colors real quick. they're all in this little basket. Yeah, okay. So these are two colors that are not in the set at this moment, which is burnt umber and Naples yellow. This is white, this is the huge white. This is the neon red color, this one, the Carthamus pink. It's from a friend who used to paint professionally, like in animation, and she had one of the older sets of Winsor & Newton, so she had all these colors that are no longer produced. So okay, in my palette I have Venetian red, I have flame red. I'm gonna go with all the Winsor & Newton first. I have permanent violet. Maybe I could do this as well. I won't be able to tell you which is which, aside from the very obvious one like opera pink, but that can give you an idea of the range. I know, pretty sure this is permanent violet, but flame red is one of those bright red, and the Venetian red is this one. This is linden green, this leaf green color. Winsor violet, this new color. Permanent green deep, which I think it's this one. This is marigold yellow, which doesn't look like that at all. I think it's this one perhaps. Anyway, this is spectrum red, another one of the reds around here. Viridian, which is this one. Gold ochre, I think it's this one. Ah, this is the white dish. So Naples yellow, so yeah. This is the one color I used mainly for the painting you saw me do. Indigo. Life is not complete without indigo. And of course, cobalt turquoise light. Life is not complete without turquoise, which is this one. Alright, so I also have a few M.Graham gouache. So I have Tolu blue, one of the blue around here. I have Ezo yellow, which is probably this one. Naphthol red, Prussian blue, Gamboge, ultramarine blue. Yeah, my favorite color. I thought that since it's gonna be in this setup, it's not gonna crack, and I'm not gonna struggle with re-wetting it. So really, like, this was probably the best way to use ultramarine blue for me, since it sort of goes around all the issues I have with this color. And I have Quin Rose, which was a bit leaky, so it's taped up and in the baggie. I have two Holbein colors. I have Opera because Holbein makes the best opera in my opinion, and I have Katsura blue, which is a unique pigment. It is PB17. So yeah, I'm always one for unique pigments, so I wanted to try this one up. So these are the gouaches in this set. Of course I have this empty space here, and I have two colors that are not in the set at the moment, but I figured I would wait until I have a need of a specific color to add in something in there, since I'm pretty sure I can mix a brown and like this color fairly easily. So yeah, that's the roundup of this current gouache palette. I have of course I have other supplies that are not part of this and are not in this tray, but this is many years of gouache. Like, I bought some of them many years ago because I wanted to use them for inking paintings, and I bought some other for this reason or that reason, or the pigment, or I was curious, and yeah, so that's how I ended up with this little palette. So there we go, that's it for today's impromptu event. I will possibly make more because it's a really good way for me to practice, to kick my butt into practicing, and you guys are really awesome, so I always appreciate chatting with you and answering questions to the best of my capacities, and being mad at ultramarine blue and being mad at Dan for not liking Holbein paints. I'm sorry, it's just too funny. So yes, hopefully we can do this again sometime soon and hang around and chat. So let's all move to Angela. Yeah, Angela's live stream if you can, and you're gonna learn something completely different in there. So thank you for being there. Have a lovely day and see you next time. Bye bye.